Hi, my name is Meredith Schmoyer. I'm a sophomore here at Parkland High School, and today I'm interviewing a professional musician, Marsha Heydt. How are
Hello.
you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you so much for wanting to speak to me today. How are you?
Good, how are you? So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come have an interview.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to ask you, did you grow up around the area?
Yes, actually, I was born in Allentown Hospital, and I then grew up on a farm of the outer skirts of Berks County.
Oh, so near Lehigh County, but not in Lehigh County.
That's correct. I was born in Lehigh County.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
Now you're a professional musician, so what instruments do you play?
I say I'm a woodwind specialist. I play saxophone, flute, clarinet, and piano.
Oh, cool. And did you start your musical music career somewhere else in another state, or did you always play in the Lehigh Valley?
Well, actually, when I was in high school, I played in rock bands around the area. And then after that, I went to college in Philadelphia, and I got a performance degree. And right from Philadelphia, I actually moved out to California. And I lived in California for a year, right on the beach in Venice, Santa Monica area.
Cool.
And then from there, I actually moved in with my first roommate that I had in college in Philadelphia. She lived in the Bronx in New York. So I got a one-way ticket and actually flew to New York and started living there. And, things just came together for me to be living in New York. I got in contact with musicians I worked with in Philly, and they had me get in contact with other musicians in New York. I started in the merengue circuit, which is a style of music from Dominican Republic. And I was playing in a lot of big bands.
Cool.
So I started I'm doing a little bit of R&B, rhythm and blues bands once in a while. And I had a job working at Sam Ash Music, which was a music store on 48th Street in Midtown Manhattan, which was known as Music Store Row. And any
Wow.
musicians from all over the world, orchestras and stuff would come there and go shopping. I was a manager there in the brass and woodwind shop. And I met people from all over the world, actually. And then I'd be doing gigs and stuff at night, and I would be teaching privately. And from there, it just rolled on where I actually went and got a master's degree from Queens College in education. And then I started to do a lot of work with nonprofit organizations, different conservatories, going into schools, teaching, general music to recorder to jazz bands,
Wow.
just there's many different things. And I was at times substituting at Hunter College, where I was teaching double majors, meaning a performance and an education major, how to play woodwind instruments in the education program at Hunter College.
So it sounds like you started as more of a performance and then went more into education. Was that always your goal to go into more education?
It's just how things developed. And what has happened in society. When I first started, there wasn't something as people having DJs for parties.
Right.
People were having live music all the time. There was not such a thing. And, and what has occurred is that DJs actually have eliminated musicians because they can work for a less price than having a huge band, and everything, always evolves upon a price point for people with parties and stuff.
Right.
And then sometimes people just really want a whole variety of music, and that's what a DJ could do also. You can
Sure.
go from having secular music to, whatever. So, and for me, actually, I got involved performing my own band. I developed my own sound. I developed my own band. I was with a record label. So I was also then kind of honing in for what style of music I was playing and then what type of audience I would be
So
having.
you so you mentioned you started your own band. How many people did you have in your band?
Normally it was 5 people.
Oh,
Oh, but depending what it is, I might have hired in a vocalist also because I wrote some material with a vocalist. I did 2 CDs and I had her record on both of my CDs. Her name's Carla Cook, fabulous singer. And then, like when I recorded my albums, I had like string quartets also playing on some of the music. Just because I always dreamt of wanting to do that, of playing with strings with my band,
that sounds like so much fun.
being like, I was influenced by Charlie Parker. He was an alto bebop player, and there was this beautiful album he made, Charlie Parker with strings. And so, and there's other people, Clifford Brown, a trumpet player. He also did Clifford Brown with strings.
Mhm.
These beautiful albums with strings with a rhythm section that it's like once you start listening to them, it's just something that, like for me, I wanted to develop my way of having something like that. So, yeah, so I mean, it's just, in life things just keep on developing and, you go into different directions, I mean, besides my CDs, I have been writing children's books now.
Oh, what are your books called?
Oh, they're called The Adventures of Freddie and Her Lily Pad Band. I actually have, these were my CDs. This was my first CD. This is called One Night. And the song One Night is an original that I wrote.
Really?
And it does actually have some cover songs on it. And then the second CD here is called Diggin' the Day, another original, but all of these songs on this are originals.
That's so
And
cool.
so I have a song on this called Freddie's Cha-Cha, which goes with my first children's book that I wrote, which is called The Adventures of Freddie and Her Lily Pad Band.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, and this is about 7 frogs, and they all come from different countries, and all of their names start with an F. And I've done book readings at schools and done, different things like this. There's a supplementary book that's connecting the dots, that they can
Oh,
connect the dots with the instruments and about the countries, connecting the dots of the flags of each country.
so kids
Uh,
can really learn a lot about the different cultures as well as music in your books.
It's multicultural,
I
yes.
love that.
Like that everyone can get along no matter where they're from,
Right.
and this is their first adventure. They go to Portugal and
Right.
you learn about cork. And I actually have just released this one during the pandemic, which I haven't really done anything with at this time yet, just because it's been a pandemic.
Right.
But this one's where they're going to Germany, and I'm actually editing the first book right now to be written in Spanish.
Oh, cool.
So I'm having just like a whole little unit of life with that also. So.
Are you working on a book besides the book in Spanish? Are you working on any new books with Freddie?
Yes, I'm playing with ideas. I haven't honed in specifically of what I am doing yet, but they will be going to another country.
Oh,
And, learning something special about that country, so.
yeah. I think that's a really great idea.
Yeah.
Now,
Maybe I should have a character named Meredith. I don't know.
maybe.
You know.
So you said that like you wrote your own music and you had your own band and now you wrote your own books. What would you consider your greatest achievement since being a musician? If any of those three, or is it something completely different?
I mean, I have been fortunate that I have been able to um, perform with some really wonderful musicians. And one time, actually working at Samish, I was taken to the David Letterman show when that was
Wow.
still on. So that was really kind of neat because that was the Ed Sullivan Theater, and that's like where the Beatles first performed and stuff. So that was really cool to be able to be on that stage where so many other legendary people have
Right.
been and stuff, and just to have that experience. That was fun. It's been fun, like also for me to like take my band and be one of the main stage people performing at a jazz festival. I did that in Chesterton, Maryland. I was on in the jazz performance that weekend and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's
So
pretty
there's been different things, you know.
yeah.
It's been fun to be written up in magazines. Like there's this magazine called Hot House, and I was written up like 3 times in that. The Musicians Union in New York wrote an article about me. I was a featured artist for them. I'm very grateful for all the different, things that I've been able to do and, hopefully help other people, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, it sounds like you've been definitely helping other people.
Mhm.
So now COVID has affected so many people today. How has your job changed during COVID, and did it become more difficult during COVID?
Well, when it first began, I still had students in New York City. I've been living back in Pennsylvania now for 3 years.
Oh,
Um, so I still had a clientele up there that I was teaching. And now that, I had a student who was from France, she moved back to France. I had a student, so some students have just, with this happening, have gone back to their homeland and stuff. So, um, that has been one negative aspect. But then a positive aspect is that I have been able to hone in of having people study with me here in Lehigh County, Berks County, Chester County. I have a student that I teach in Florida. I've been teaching students in Massachusetts. I've had some students still in New York, but not what I had at one time. So it's now more video based. I do have students that have come to my property and we do a social distant, lesson, and then I sterilize everything afterwards and stuff. So, but it's just that, trying to do the best and, being careful and, protecting, anyone who studies with me, protecting myself, that we're in a safe environment.
yes, that's super important.
Yes.
And what would you say to any students that wanted to go into music as a career? What would be your piece of advice?
Well, that's what I always wanted to do. I mean, when I was like 5 or 6 years old already, that's all I had wanted to do. So, I would say if this is something that you love and you want to put your whole heart into it, I think it's what I've done my entire life. So I would say go for it. But depending upon what avenue you go into, that's why when you're asking me, I've done many different things because you have to be amiable to change yourself. Because, now it also is like, much more computerized and programs and you have to be flexible to be going along with change and seeing what is going to be more relevant and stuff. Even educating wise, things are always changing and stuff. So, but if you have a passion for it and you love it, it's a wonderful journey. But, anything that you go into, you should just love anyway. So it doesn't really matter. You could always just minor in music, go and get a business degree, and then, you can be bouncing off of that because it could be something that, you could be, you know, having your own music school or, having your own club, and there's endless possibilities. That's the thing about art. It's endless possibilities of what you can do with it. So, and how you can grow and share it with other people.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming and having an interview with me. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, and I will send you a link when this is all done.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you so much for your time and great questions. Thank you.
Bye.